both by local law officials and industrialist Bruce Wayne, who announced the immediate termination of his partnership with LexCorp.
Wait a minute. Bruce Wayne and Batman both in Metropolis at the same time. Could that mean that Bruce Wayne is Superman? Oh, my burrito's done. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see you all once again. And if this is your first time, then thank you for joining us, because I think that you're going to like what you see here, because this is the show where we go back and talk about episodes that we grew up on in the 90s. So if you're like me and love cartoons from the 90s and just looking for an excuse to watch them again, then this is the show for you. Hop below, hit the subscribe button, go ahead and click the thumbs up like button while you're at it, because we've got some great content on its way. Because today we're talking about the episode that first puts Batman and Superman in the same episode in the DC animated world, World's Finest, which originally aired on October 4th, 1997.
Isn't Bruce Wayne about due for a trip to Metropolis?
Wow. What a group of episodes. This was a lot of fun to watch again, and it was exciting to see Batman and Superman sharing the screen. The pacing of this three-parters, and I know when it originally aired, I think that they aired consecutively, sort of like a movie, but it is broken up into three separate episodes. So just that was exciting. And I was reading, and I don't remember this, I don't think I watched it when it was first on TV, but it aired in prime time also. Which I know when I was a kid, I always enjoyed seeing cartoon shows in primetime. I don't know why. This is before Cartoon Network, kids. Okay? We had to get excited when we had a regular cartoon air in the evening. I even remember watching the Christmas specials of Peanuts and Garfield and things like that would air in prime time, and that was cool. That was exciting. But anyway, Superman, Batman sharing the screen together, lots of excitement, and lots to unpack in this episode, but we'll do all that right after our 60-second Brainiac rundown of the episode. And I think because this is a three-parter, I'm going to bump this up to 90 seconds. I probably still won't be able to do it an extra 30 seconds. Should I do 2 minutes? I think that's too much. 90 seconds. Let's see if I can do it. Here we go. We start off in Gotham City, where Joker and Harley Quinn are robbing a jewelry store, and they steal this jade dragon. Batman shows up, does some investigation, goes, oh, it's not jade, it's kryptonite. So he goes, looks like it's time for me to go to Metropolis, and he plans a trip as Bruce Wayne to go to Metropolis, and he's there, and he flirts with Lois Lane and asks her out to dinner. And then we see Joker and Luthor talking, and Joker offers to kill Superman with the kryptonite dragon statue for $1 billion, and Luthor agrees. And then Batman is in town, and he goes to this nightclub and starts beating people up, and Superman shows up and goes, hey, whoa, I don't like your brand of justice, you can't do that, and looks through Batman's mask and sees that he's Bruce Wayne. And then later on, then Clark is back at his apartment and finds a little tag on his Superman cape, and he looks out the window, and Batman now knows who he is. So Batman is on a date with Lois Lane, and they attack, and he falls off the building. And then we have Luthor and Joker are talking, and he goes, hey, listen, now Batman's in town, we got to up this stakes. And he goes, no, I'm not going to do that. And he goes, okay, fine, then I'm going to take your wing instead. And Harley Quinn paints it like smiling teeth. And then Batman and are fighting some robots from Lois, and his cape gets stuck, and it pulls it off. And then we see she gets to see that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And even though some love has been blossoming between the two of them, she's now upset with him and goes, I wish you would have told me, you can't lie about this stuff. And then Superman shows up, and I knew I wouldn't make it. We're close. Superman shows up and says, hey, let's work together and stop the Joker. So they do, and then they go off, and Batman and Superman are fighting and to this final battle, and they take the wing, and Batman and Luthor fight. This is so confused. Just watch the episode. And as they're fighting, they stop the Joker, they stop Luthor, and then Bruce Wayne talks to Lois and says, it's better off this way, and they leave and go their separate ways. That was rough. That was rough.
I'd say the timing couldn't be better.
Also, just a little disclaimer, just to let you know, I'm not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC in any way. I don't own any of the rights to any of the material that I show. I am simply reviewing the episodes as a fan. I enjoy these episodes. I enjoy the DC animated universe. I grew up watching these shows, and so I enjoy reviewing them. And I try to use clips in the reviews just to illustrate the points that I'm trying to establish in my review. I've been getting a few copyright claims from Warner Brothers on my videos. I'm trying to operate under the fair use line of the copyright law. So if you're from Warner Brothers and you're seeing this and you are going to file a copyright claim against me, let me know what I can do differently. I just want to talk about these episodes, and I'll continue to talk about these episodes because I enjoy them, but I would love to do it with you and I'm not trying to work against you. Reach out to me. Let me know what I can do differently to prevent you from striking my videos. That's all.
Deal?
Deal.
I know there's been a lot of anticipation about this episode, these episodes, I should say, and they are great fun. And I don't remember how these episodes were promoted as a kid. I know that it was released on DVD as a movie, and a lot of people call it the world's finest movie. It truly is a three-parter. Even if you take out the titles and the credits in the episodes, the three parts don't quite fit together as a movie per se. The pacing of the episodes and the way that the story is written certainly sort of feels like a movie, that they spend a little bit more time in scenes and establishing things and building kind of that structure, and it doesn't feel as go as it does in the episodes. I don't remember, like I mentioned, I don't remember when this first aired or how they promoted it. What I understand, what I'm reading, is that it originally aired all in one day as a three-part consecutively in a time block in the evening. But again, I don't know if that aired as in a one hour block or as a 90-minute. Each episode had the title sequence and its credits. I don't know, but I consider it three parts, and it works well as that. And I think it works a lot better than The Last Son of Krypton in that sense, that this is one story. Last Son of Krypton felt a little bit like it was a two-parter with another third episode as a extra to that, but this is certainly just one story. You can't watch one without the other, I don't think. I don't think the episodes stand alone per se, but if you cut out the commercials, you can really watch all three of these through in an hour.
More powerful than a locomotive, and just about as subtle. And
because these episodes aired in prime time, it was eligible for and was nominated for, and in fact won, a Primetime Emmy, and it's now still proudly displayed in the lobby. So I don't know if that was the intention of why they wanted to air it in primetime to be able to be eligible, but they did in fact win. So congratulations, guys. 20 years late, but congratulations. But to me, I think it's interesting that, you see the title sequence of Superman, and then it starts, and I think that this was brilliant. It starts in Gotham City, and the first shot that we see, not only is it the red sky and dark and raining at night, but it's that opening building from Batman, which I think is brilliant to see that and go, whoa, immediately you're thrown off balance and go, wait, am I watching Superman or Batman? What's going on? And the first couple of minutes of the episode is in Gotham City. We see Harley Quinn, we see Joker, we see Commissioner Gordon and Bullock, and then Batman appears, and it's like, well, this is cool.
I guess the night brings out all the wackos.
The challenge with that, though, is that this is a Superman episode. This episode aired as part of the Superman animated series. And because we see an established Batman first, and it's a Joker-driven plot, and even though he's hired by Luthor, it's really Joker comes up with this plan.
Things are never what they seem with the Joker.
It feels more like Batman episodes. Maybe that was deliberate, maybe that was accidental, but to me it feels very much like we're watching a Batman story with Superman in it.
You better go. People might get hurt.
And the first episode of this trilogy is very much the first act of a movie, if you will. And they're setting up the story and the plot and the characters and their position and all of this. And it does that really well. I do like that they, right in the beginning, they call out that Superman always saves Lois and what's going on there.
Lane? Lois Lane? The one Superman always saves?
They bring Bruce Wayne to Metropolis. There's a lot of anticipation built around that. And when he arrives, immediately starts flirting with Lois. And they really play up in this, I think, more than what we've seen in the past, this sort of Bruce Wayne playboy millionaire persona. And he plays that really well. And he plays that well to Lois, and in the way that he kind of ignores Clark and starts building this jealousy right off the bat there. So all that happens very, very quickly, but it says a lot about where the story is going.
Maybe we can discuss it over dinner, if you're available.
Totally. I think so. I'll have to check my calendar. Yes.
Then we also set up Joker coming to Metropolis and his plan to make $1 billion. They tie it also back into how Joker has been short on cash lately, as we saw in Joker's Millions, which you can see that episode up here. So his plan is to get this kryptonite and go kill Superman. Well, nobody else could do it, but surely the Joker could, which is, I think, very arrogant of him to think that.
Which brings me to my little proposition.
I'm listening.
And it makes a lot of sense. That's a perfect reason for Joker to leave Gotham City and go to Metropolis and partner with one of the biggest villains of Superman. So I think when you think Batman, you think of the Joker. When you think of Superman, you think of Lex Luthor. So to put those two villains together and put those two heroes together, it makes perfect sense.
I sense we are kindred spirits, you and I.
Probably could not have more polar opposites between Joker and Luthor. Luthor being very thoughtful and very deliberate in what he does. Obviously, Joker being very maniacal and crazy and wacky and just goes heads first into situations.
Oh, there are differences to be sure. Like hair.
Likewise, we have Batman and Superman. And that first time that they kind of come face to face with each other, I know we kind of see Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent are in the same proximity to each other, but really don't interact with each other previously. But to see Batman and Superman facing off, unlike Batman versus Superman, was a great dynamic. And again, in a very short, condensed moment of time, we say a lot about where their relationship is going to go. The fact that Superman comes up and approaches Batman and Batman just throws him against the wall. How fearless do you have to be to just throw Superman across the room?
That's enough. I think you got your answer.
And again, it sets up this great dynamic of how different these two characters are. Superman and Batman, very different way of dealing with things. Batman being just brutal and strong and gets the job done, however, by any means necessary. And Superman being very compassionate and very caring and always looking out for other people. Not that Batman doesn't, but you get what I'm saying. The very difference of these characters. And it's established in a very tight, small period of time.
I heard you were crazy. I didn't think you were stupid.
And I also like that they don't beat around the bush. We put Superman and Batman together. Obviously, immediately, Superman looks behind his mask and sees who he is. So we call it right off the bat. Obviously, the secret identity is not going to work from Superman. And he sees it's Bruce Wayne, and that builds his jealousy that he has with Bruce flirting with Lois Lane.
Bruce Wayne? You peak.
And then likewise, quickly thereafter, just as a detective would do, is that he puts a tracking device on Superman and immediately figures out who Superman is. I don't feel like they get into that as much in Superman as they do in Batman. Anybody that's tried to figure out who Superman's secret identity is, one, they wouldn't have to look too far because he's just wearing glasses. But two, Batman immediately figures out who he's dealing with. He's got to know his allies and his enemies and does the gumshoe investigation to figure out who he is and quickly figures it out and kind of gives his little salute and moves on about his way.
Touché.
And then we go into episode 2. This is kind of the meat of the plot, the Act 2 element of the story. And we get to build on that jealousy between Superman or Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne at the Daily Planet. And I think that sets the groundwork for how Batman and Superman carry their relationship. They respect each other, I think, even though they don't agree with each other's tactics. They see the value of the other person and what they offer to crime-fighting ways, but I don't think they necessarily are friends or would hang out outside of work. You know, they each kind of stay in their lane. They have their challenges with each other, but they know they have to work together in some regards.
Actually, Lois,
Don't be intimidated. Regale him with madcap tales of the nightlife in Smallville.
And I think these episodes do a nice job of establishing a lot of that throughout these 3 episodes. And the subplot of Bruce Wayne dating Lois Lane, I think, was a great device to bring that out and have it be justified why Superman or Clark Kent is jealous of Bruce Wayne, because he's hitting on his girl, which is a great motivator for him to feel that way, but also I think shows something to himself to go, I'm really jealous about somebody taking Lois Lane on a date. Maybe I should act on that. And again, they're building up that plot that we lead into with these episodes.
of course you have been dividing your time between work and Lois.
Is that a problem?
And then Superman shows up in the suit.
Ooh, I'm flattered you put on your Sunday best.
I know I put down this suit a lot, but I really think that they did a disservice by introducing the lead-lined suit into the Superman the Animated Series. Why, you ask? I'll tell you why. Because now that they've introduced this suit into the Superman world, they have taken away the only weakness of Superman. Superman, really powerful, but can be brought to his knees by using kryptonite. Well, then he gets a suit that now protects him from kryptonite, so he has no weakness. So anytime he goes up against a villain, they bring out kryptonite, he puts on the suit, boom, he stops them. So what they've done now is to give some advantage back to the villains. He puts on the suit and he shows up, and then they immediately have to take the suit away from him. Like in this case, he shows up, fights against Joker, and Joker sprays him with acid, and then the suit melts away, and now he's back to being affected by the kryptonite. So they created this thing that they have to put in there, because if Superman showed up knowing that there was kryptonite and wasn't wearing the suit, everybody go, well, why wouldn't he just put on the suit? Easy. He fixed it. Now he can stop him. So he has to put on the suit because they've established that as a device in this world. And he puts it on, and then as writers, they have to come up with a way of leveling the playing field again. And so they immediately destroy the suit. And it always seems like it's right on his Superman shield as well. But that aside. So I just feel like they created this device which was an easy out early on in the series to go, oh, he's fighting kryptonite. Oh, we'll have Star Labs make him a lead-lined suit. And then I think that they realized, oh, this is too easy. Now Superman can't be defeated. And so then they have to put him in the suit and immediately take it away. Put him in the suit, immediately take it away. And I think it's just wasted time in the episode, in my opinion. Let me know if you disagree, but that's just my thought about the lead-lined kryptonite suit.
I don't understand. I had it all planned so perfectly.
We also get to see the Batwing in this episode, which I can't remember. This may be the first appearance of the Batwing with the New Adventures of Batman style, because it looks a little different, unless it's a different vehicle entirely. But it also has the Bat Jetpack, which I think is pretty cool. And that's just one of the things I enjoy about Batman, is that he has all these tools at his disposal because he needs them, not because he is super strong and needs to have the advantage over the one weakness that he has. Sorry, I'll let it go. Anyway, so he has all these devices that he can use at his disposal to stop what he needs to. And the Batwing in this, if it is in fact the Batwing, maybe it's the Bat Rocket or something, is really cool. And it provides for one of the coolest exits that Batman has used, where he just grapple hooks the Batwing and takes off. And another reason why these episodes feel like episodes is they all have really good cliffhangers on the first and second episode that kind of propel you and make you want to watch the next episode. In the way you write a story for a movie, you don't need to do that. You just need to make it engaging to keep people watching. And that's easier to do when people have already planned on investing an hour or 2 hours into a movie to keep them watching versus an episode. The great TV shows that would leave a cliffhanger and make you go, well, I got to see how they resolve that. I got to see how they get out of that. Maybe a little bit more clever than the old Batman show where they're hanging over a pit of acid. But same concept, to provide some sort of cliffhanger to make people go, oh, how are they going to get out of this one? And I got to tune in tomorrow or next week to see how this is resolved. And they do that really well in these three-parters. Obviously, there's not a cliffhanger, third part, but 1 and 2. You get what I'm saying.
Welcoming you to the nearest mortuary.
So I told you what bothers me about Superman in this episode, keeping things equal. I'm going to tell you what bothers me about Batman in this episode, is that the secret identity element is not as big of a plot with Superman. Obviously, he puts on glasses and nobody can tell that he's Clark Kent. Okay, great. So when we're in that world, I get that. The secret identity element is a bigger deal in the Batman world. And there's plots around people trying to find out Batman's secret identity. Many people have tried, and again, they paint themselves in a corner sometimes where Batman gets knocked out in a certain situation, and it seems like the villains would immediately go over and take off his mask, and they don't. And there's those elements. But a lot of people have tried to figure out who Batman is and have failed miserably. But then in this story, he's fighting and saving Lois, and then his cape and cowl get hooked on something and rips his mask off, and Lois sees that it's Bruce Wayne. So many people have tried, and Lois just accidentally figures out who he is. And if his mask and cowl are that easy to rip off, why has that not happened yet? Or why doesn't he have some precaution to that, to have a second mask as he did in the Cape and Cowl conspiracy or something, to help prevent that from happening?
So when were you going to tell me? The honeymoon?
But on that, I think it's interesting that it's well documented that Bruce Wayne is in Metropolis working with Luthor doing this deal or whatever, and lots of press there, a lot of, he's a high profile figure, so a lot of conversations around that. And then also in the newspaper is the Batman from Gotham City happens to also be in town. And it seems like somebody could have made that connection that they were the same person. And maybe it could have been Lois. It could have been Lois that as an investigative journalist that goes, wait a minute, it's a little bit of a coincidence that we have Bruce Wayne and Batman and the Joker all from Gotham City in town at the same time. What's the connection there? Maybe there's a connection there. And they really just they kind of just ignore that whole element.
Swell. Now Gotham's sending us their wackos.
I think it worked really well how all the stories kind of converged on each other, and it made perfect sense to get everybody back into the same room for this one final showdown. We got Luthor and Joker kind of at odds with each other, and Harley Quinn's in there, and Mercy, and they're fighting, and Batman and Bruce Wayne and Superman, that other guy, all converging in the same plot. And I like that the way that this battle works is that everybody gets to use their strengths. We get to see some new tools from Batman, the claws on his glove, that's new, and Superman's strength, and obviously those elements. And it establishes what I was talking about earlier, where Batman and Superman don't necessarily get along together, but they see the need of each other, and they're able to work together and bring down Joker in his grinning plane wing thing one final time, which was a great final battle. And that's how battles should work. Not the whole episode, but it all builds to this one climactic moment. And it was very well animated. It was very well written, and it just worked really well in there.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
And it also has a great line in there from Harley Quinn and Batman when she is calling for pudding.
Pudding!
At this point, he probably is.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, I've talked about in this list, it's a challenge sometimes figuring out how to rank these episodes because they are very different and styles are different, and should it be about the action, should it be about the story, and some episodes are so far apart from the others. And this episode, probably to no surprise, and I will probably not be challenged on this too much, but this episode falls at the number 1 spot of my favorite episodes so far. And in my opinion, it completely blows the other episodes out of the water. It does in fact beat out A Brave New Metropolis, which is a great story and great characters and a great way of being able to tell kind of an Elseworld story. But I think because that's an Elseworld story, it is a very standalone on its own episode. Very enjoyable, great story. And other than the elements where they kind of move Lois and Clark's relationship along, it's kind of exists in its own world and has great sci-fi elements. But this episode just plays into the bigger universe of Justice League and Superman and Batman. And because it has 3 episodes, there's just so much room to build so many different layers into there, so many different relationships, so many great, like, exciting moments to see Batman and Superman together, and Clark and Bruce Wayne together, and Lois and Bruce together. You know, there's just some neat excitement in there. And yeah, other than a couple of the critiques with the Superman suit and Batman secret identity, other than those elements, and I think, you know, there is no perfect episode. It is great fun. It is easy to sit down and watch all 3 of them consecutively. There isn't a slow moment in there. It isn't like they had 3 episodes to fill and so, well, the second one's kind of boring. It's like so many layers and elements to these episodes that just makes it great. It's also funny to me too that it took bringing Batman into a Superman episode to elevate it to the top. That's not why this episode ranks number 1. It certainly doesn't hurt, but it's a great pair up. It's a great, you know, this moment was building for a while that we've got to introduce. We had Superman meet Flash. Now we got to bring Batman and Superman together. And again, it'd be interesting to know where this fell in the plans of, are we going to do a Justice League? Are we going to put them together? So anyway, that's where it sits proudly at the number 1 spot. And I don't know, we'll see if it remains in number 1 throughout the remainder of the episodes.
Now that's funny. Ow!
I don't remember if this was ever in the comics where Bruce and Lois having a little romantic relationship and dating. But let me know, do you think that relationship ever could have worked between Bruce and Lois? Very interesting. But let me know in the comment section below. If you like this episode, please click the like button. And if you didn't like it, go ahead and hit the dislike button. But be sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the content that's coming your way. Because next up, we see the return of Bizarro in Bizarro's World. So you don't want to miss that. As always, I'm Andy Knode. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.